Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media. The statue was behind him now, by 50 yards, and the roar of the traffic on the highway beyond it began to fade as he felt himself being dragged through the brush. His arms flopped from side to side with each tug the giant bear made. Struggling to see through the blood trickling into his eyes, he could see the forest canopy creeping by with each pull. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. On Sakhalin Island, off the coast of the Russian Far East, the city of Yuzhno-Sakhalinsk, host to 181,000 people, spreads across the rolling forested landscape. It is the administrative capital of the Sakhalin Oblast, or Russia's version of a state or province, and is comprised of the island of the same name. Sakhalin's landscape is characterized by boreal forests of spruce, fir, and birch, with dense undergrowth of blueberry, cranberry, and willow. Native herbivores such as roe deer, elk, and hares roam these woods, while apex predators like lynx, wolves, wolverines, and an aggressive population of brown bears prowl the shadows. Bears here take advantage of salmon runs along coastal streams and nutritional bounty from berry patches, drawing them closer to human settlements during foraging season. Just south of the town is a resort area marked by a statue of 3 deer. It has become quite a spot for tourists and newlyweds, and sits only 50 yards from a major highway. Across that highway is a stretch of forest and mountains, cherished by brown bears as prime habitat. But in Russia, people also embrace the wilderness, and hope it doesn't embrace them back. On June 23, 2025, a handful of laborers were clearing the forest for development, and were guarded by a trusty camp dog, whom we will call Tasha. There was no mention of the men carrying firearms or bear spray, but given there were at least 4 workers, they may have felt the numbers worked in their favor. As the men spent the morning leveling the soil around the site, they decided to take lunch and relax for a while. As they reclined on their equipment, Tasha began to bark and stare into the brush near the work site. The workers watched as a year-old brown bear cub climbed the short slope to within 10 yards to investigate what was going on. They watched as the cub and the dog danced back and forth with each other in a standoff that seemed both playful and serious. The two dashed back and forth toward the workers, then back toward the slope, as if the cub was trying to lure the dog away from the site. Now this cub was significantly larger than the husky hybrid Tasha. An offhand guess at its weight would put it between 150 to 200 pounds, meaning it was big enough to threaten a man. But as the cub returned to the edge of the slope, a massive round brown head emerged from just behind it, followed by the powerful body of a mature sow brown bear. A video of the encounter is available at our Patreon site, linked below for your review. This wasn't the first time the sow and cubs had visited the work site. They'd been seen in the brush around the perimeter, and the workers likely reported their presence to wildlife officers. Armed rangers were assigned to patrol the site to ensure the workers' safety, but were also assigned to other locations, so patrols were spotty at best. As the sow and the cub siblings slowly and cautiously made their way up the hill, they scanned the men in an investigative manner. Now, alongside the first cub, the sow dropped her head to the ground and sniffed the area, as if searching for additional information. Glancing back and forth, she began to position her feet for a charge toward the men. Covering the distance in only 2 bounds, she closed in with a roar as the men scattered, trying to escape her wrath. As one of the men, whom we will call Yuri, fled through the forest, he could hear the horrified screams of his co-workers. He knew these bears were more than just curious. They'd come for dinner. In a panicked retreat, he made his way through the forest and presumably back to the highway, where he may have flagged down a passerby and called for help. The wildlife officers charged with ensuring the men's safety while they worked were nowhere to be found on site when the bears approached. It isn't clear if they responded to Yuri's pleas for help but when they returned, they found a macabre scene. Just down the slope, they found the first victim. He was alive and struggling due to blood loss and traumatic wounds to his body. Authorities were notified, and medical responders were sent to the area. They bandaged his wounds and rushed him to the nearest medical center, but he succumbed to blood loss en route. As the officers were searching for the remaining workers, they came upon a seriously wounded and unconscious man lying in the bushes a few hundred yards away. He'd left a blood trail and fled until he lost consciousness from blood loss. He was triaged at the location and transported to the nearest medical center, where he's recovering from critical injuries. Having accounted for 3 of the 4 workers, the officers began to search further into the brush. A short distance from the worksite, they located a pile of sticks and debris that they recognized as a bear food cache. Beneath the piled duff, they located the corpse of the last of the workers. He'd suffered severe injuries and had been buried by the bears for later consumption. An investigation was immediately launched to determine how this attack had occurred. It wasn't long before criminal negligence charges were filed against the wildlife officers responsible for protecting the public recreation areas. As for the bears' motives that led to the attack, there are a few circumstances to analyze. The fact that one of the victims was dragged away and cached for consumption demonstrated predatory motives, but it is more complex than that. At the initiation of the attack, the sow could have been acting in defense of her cubs or herself. It is unclear if the bears had returned to the site after being fed by the men during their prior visit. The cubs were not the current year's models, meaning the sow had invested a lot of time and energy into their rearing. Finding enough food for 3 bears is demanding on the environment and the sow, so they may have been experiencing hunger as they awaited the late summer berry season. Salmon fishing companies are reporting record harvests on sakhalin this summer, which doesn't necessarily mean that brown bears are experiencing the same abundance. The sow was not protecting a cached animal carcass, but was protecting her cubs from a surprise encounter with the workers, even if she was acting in a predatory manner. Speaking of cubs, our Cub Tier membership on Patreon, linked below, will give you ad-free early access to our episodes, sources, notes, and photos. And the $3 per month goes a long way in helping me continue to produce educational and entertaining content like this. Sakhalin supports one of Russia's densest brown bear populations. The World Wildlife Federation estimates that there are roughly 100,000 bears in the Russian Far East, though official Russian counts may be even higher. Bears thrive on seasonal salmon and berry crops, but seasonal and irregular variations in food sources may drive bears closer to human-populated areas. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. Could it be that overfishing of salmon may have contributed to the sow's and her cubs' hunger, or was this simply a predatory attack? Should the initial presence of the bears at the attack site have been taken more seriously? Why didn't the workers have some sort of repellent or protection provided by the employer at the site? I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.